Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down my week number 6 tight end start or sit decisions, going through every single matchup from Thursday Night Football all the way up until Monday Night Football, telling you guys whether you should start or sit the tight ends in all of those games. But before we can get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, then please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure you leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 6 tight end start or sit decisions for the 2024 fantasy football season. We began with the San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. For the Seahawks, it's very simple when it comes to the tight end position. While Noah Fant is incredibly talented, he continues to get buried in this offense due to having so many talented players on this team. They have DK Metcalf, they have Jackson Smith-Njigba, they have Tyler Lockett, they have Kenneth Walker, they have Charbonnet, so he is just buried by the other players on the offense, leading to him just getting about 2 to 3 targets a week, and I'm simply not going to start a 2 to 3 target a week tight end, so there is zero reason to play Fant. For George Kittle, he has been nothing short of incredible this season. He practiced in full on Wednesday with the rib injury, and the reason why it's so incredible what he's done this season is not because he is just magically a great tight end, right? We all knew how great George Kittle is, but the consistency simply was never there. He was just a boom or bust tight end, but now he has ripped off top 10 tight end performances every single game that he has been healthy. 3 straight games inside the top 4 for me has me feeling some type of a way. He had the Cardinals defense in the camel clutch last week, 8 receptions on 12 targets for 64 yards and a touchdown going up against the Seattle defense. I love Kittle as the tight end number 1 this week. Now we move to London with the London Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Chicago Bears. Now, Evan Ingram has been dealing with a hamstring injury since week 1. He has been out for 4 straight weeks, and this week there is some optimism that he will be good to go out of the Jaguars camp. Coming off the hammy, though, I wouldn't want to rank him too high, as that could affect his play. Match that with the fact that this matchup up against the Bears isn't the most ideal. He is definitely going to be a fringe top 12 start if he plays. Now, if he doesn't play, they have another tight end who's pretty talented in Strange, who I would end up starting as a high upside tight end too. For Cole Kmet, he is a fringe top 12 start for me. His skill is very clearly there, but the targets fluctuate way too much weekly for him to be ranked consistently inside of the top 8 or 10. In my opinion, he is more than likely going to get around 4 or 5 targets in this game. Now, this is a spot up against the Jaguars where the upside is very evident, as the Jaguars defense is bottom of the barrel. But again, when you have spotty volume, you can't really rank him much higher than the tight end 11 or 12. Next up, we move to the 1 p.m. slate with the Arizona Cardinals at the Green Bay Packers, with 2 tight ends that I am enamored to start on the week. For the Green Bay Packers, Tucker Kraft Mac and Cheese may have reached legendary pickup status, as Buddy has been the tight end number 1 in back-to-back weeks. Last week, up against a garbage LA Rams defense, he had 4 receptions on 5 targets for 88 yards and not 1, but 2 touchdowns in that game. While I do highly doubt that he rips off 3 tight end 1 performances in a row, I do believe he should be strongly considered to be ranked inside of the top 8 up against the Cardinals defense. For Arizona Cardinals tight end Trey McBride, while he didn't end up having a top 12 finish last week against the Niners, he had 6 receptions on 9 targets for 53 yards, and it's very evident with the skill that Trey McBride has with the numbers he put up last season that better days are ahead for McBride, and in my opinion, he is in the must-start range at the tight end position. He has a steady amount of volume coming his way week in and week out, and he also has a solid quarterback, and this is a game that has the upside of the game script being a back and forth high scoring Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway type of firefight here. It could be the highest scoring game of the week. So Trey McBride is a clear top 5 tight end for me. Next up, we move to the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. So we just had a very exciting tight end game, right? Where you could see Kraft and McBride finish as the tight end 1 and 2. Whereas here we got like the tight end 22, and 37 in this game. So Mo Alley Cox is in a scenario that's rough. The Indianapolis Colts use more tight ends than the average Naughty America scene. Cox found the end zone last week on 4 targets, but with so many tight ends being utilized and with Anthony Richardson potentially starting, there is zero reason to play my boy Mo Cox. Chiga Konkuwu is another guy that simply just doesn't see enough volume to be startable. Even if I do love this matchup up against the Colts, as that defense is awful, and I do love his skill set, the quarterback play is subpar, and with him being a 2 to 3 target a week tight end, you cannot justify playing him. Next up, we got the Houston Texans at the New England Patriots in Foxborough. For Hunter Henry, Drake May has the upside to fully unlock the passing attack of this offense that has been nothing short of limp dick under Jacoby Brissett. They were moving the ball at snail's pace. While I am excited about the upside of this offense, while I am excited to see what Draco May can do, it would be incredibly risky to start Henry in this scenario, especially since I think the Texans defense is solid. Dalton Schultz to me is a bottom of the barrel start. Now, normally I don't like starting him because this is another team where there are too many cooks in the kitchen and he isn't ranked highly. He's not the head chef. He's not the sous chef. He's basically the fucking dishwasher, right? But now in Houston, without Nico Collins, we should see Schultz get more looks. He had 6 targets last week with 4 receptions and 34 yards. I like this spot up against the Patriots. You are really going to pray to the football gods above that he ends up getting a touchdown. He is the lowest player on my rankings that I would consider to be a start. So he is literally the bottom of the barrel tight end start of the week. Next up, we move to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. Now, Cade Otton had an amazing run from week 3 through week number 4. We had 8 or more targets in back-to-back games, but once his targets fell like Humpty Dumpty off the wall last week in Hotlanta with just 4, his production also fell off the edge of the earth. This offense is an absolute wagon. Baker Mayfield is playing out of his mind. The offense can move the ball at a rapido rate, which could lead to them dropping 30-plus points in any given game, which alone makes it so I feel fine saying that Otton is a tight end 2 type of range guy, but he is far from a safe bet for the Saints. Taysom Hill has fractured his ribs and probably will not be good to go in this game, which makes this tight end room, instead of a triple-headed tight end room, they have just 2 tight ends in Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau. Foster found the end zone last week on 1 of 2 passes, and Juwan Johnson had 5 catches on 5 targets for 31 yards. With Spencer Rattler under center, I am excited to see what he could do because I think the offense will at least be fun to watch, right? With Hayner under center, it probably would have been a disaster like when Ian Book had to play for the Saints all those years ago. So there's really no need to play the tight ends here. Maybe Spencer Rattler will turn Juwan Johnson or Foster Moreau into Rob Gronkowski, or maybe they're a duo like Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. Hopefully no one ends up turning into a murderer here. So Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, no need to get cute and play them. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles, and David Njoku returned last week from injury and then proceeded to get injured again, right? Can't get lucky at all in Washington. His recovery timeline is uncertain, and with him not practicing on Wednesday, that is definitely not a great sign. If he does play, I wouldn't play him just because of how bad this offense is. And if he doesn't play, Snake Man Jordan Atkins would be a sit as well. Dallas Goedert, the return of the Mac, the return of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, is essentially a stab in the back for Dallas Goedert being like a top 5, top 6 type of tight end. Because without A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, we were seeing Dallas Goedert have a Las Vegas buffet weekly, right? Without the other competition with like Patty Campbell being the next best target, Dallas Goedert was sucking in targets like his name was Ash Cash. But now, once those guys are back, the best targets on the team, you better believe his targets are gonna dip down in a big way. Now, he is still a start because the Eagles' offense in any given week could take things into overdrive. But with the return of those wide receivers, it definitely hurts the floor as well as the ceiling of Goedert. He's probably going to fall down to being a 4 to 5 target guy a week, and he is a low-end tight end number 1 for me. Next up, we got the 4 p.m. slate, beginning with the left hands up. Who are we? The Commanders at the Baltimore Ravens. But before we break down this game at the tight end position, as well as the rest of the games, all the way through Monday Night Football, I would like to give you guys a word from our friend and our partner over at Underdog. If you're new to Underdog and sign up using code Notorious or by clicking on the link in the video description, you'll be able to claim your free pick, which is Brock Purdy higher than half of a total yard. You're going to match that with any of the players playing on the Seahawks or any of the players playing on Sunday or Monday. And if both of your picks hit, you receive 3 times what you enter into your pick'em. If you put in multiple other picks, then the payout will obviously be higher. If you're watching this after Thursday Night Football, you're like, oh, Purdy already played. What happens if I use your code? You'll receive a different free pick, just a different player higher than half of a total yard. You will also receive a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So make sure you sign up using promo code Notorious to claim your free pick, plus the first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Back to the Commanders at the Ravens. 2 of the most exciting quarterbacks in the game right now going toe-to-toe, Ali versus Frazier style. And we'll start with the Commanders. Because the Ravens, we got to go a little bit more in depth. Now, with Zach Ertz, despite the fact that he saw 8 targets last week, the motherfucker only had 2 catches for 10 yards, which hit the Ertz owners with the Hadouken. Now, facing the Ravens, I do believe he will bounce back. He's a pretty safe bet to get like 7 to 9, 10 points a week. Even if he didn't actually reach that last week, I got him in the tight end 2 range. Nothing super exciting about Ertz, but this offense could end up really putting up a huge game here, which could lead to Ertz finding the end zone. For the Ravens, they're using a triple-headed tight end core, utilizing all of Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, and Charlie Kohler, which makes Likely as reliable as when you get a text from your girlfriend who goes to a different college and she tells you, oh, sorry, I fell asleep at 9 p.m. Meanwhile, she's getting fucking triple teamed by the basketball team. But I digress here. Likely scored twice last week. Not once, but twice. Could have been thrice, but it was just twice last week on 3 targets and played 71% of the snaps. In what should be a high-scoring game here, Likely is worth a flyer start. But the reason why I use a flyer start, we're not talking about Philadelphia. Fuck the Phillies. The Mets beat them, baby. That was a great series as a Mets fan, finally seeing a playoff win. As a fan of the Dolphins, the Mets, the Nets, and the... Did I not include? Dolphins, Mets, Nets, Devils. Not a lot of playoff wins, in my repertoire, so it was nice to see that. So again, Likely, am I gonna feel super safe? Is he a condom wrap around my team? Fuck no, baby. But the upside is there. For Mark Andrews, once I saw Charlie Kohler on the field, I knew whoever drafted Mark Andrews was just officially done for, right? Andrews did have 4 receptions on 5 targets last week for 55 yards, which was actually his highest scoring game of the season, but you simply just cannot trust him. Next up, we move to the Chargers at the Denver Broncos, and we are just going to zoom through this game because none of the tight ends here are fun. Even if Hayden Hurst misses, as he was limited coming out of the bye week in practice on Wednesday with a Achilles injury, I wouldn't be confident in playing Disley because this game reeks of being incredibly low scoring and a run-heavy affair. Even with Hurst, I doubt Disley can top more than 4 targets, and ultimately up against the Broncos, I wouldn't be starting either of them. Greg Dulcich was inactive last week as the team was not confident in his production, so the Trout man took over as the tight end 1. And the fisherman himself was absolutely fucking terrible. 1 reception on 1 target for 19 yards. I have zero interest in any of the pass catching options for Denver in this spot up against a stout Chargers defense. Next up, we move to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, these are 2 tight ends that I love. Shout out Violet Myers and Mia Malkova. Brock Bowers' first 2 games of the season were something of dreams, right? Because a rookie tight end coming out the gate as a top 3 tight end in both showings, basically unheard of, right? But then after he caught fire Katniss Everdeen style, he decided to cool down, like his name was Frozone, as the tight end 17 and then the tight end 24. But last week, he bounced back as the tight end number 2 with his best game on the season. 8 receptions on 12 targets for 97 yards, almost 100 yards, and a touchdown. I expect him to get fed in this spot as there is no Devontae Adams, which means the volume is going to be coming in a huge way. We just saw Ferguson get dirty against the Steelers last week. Even if this matchup isn't the most ideal, I do like Brock Bowers as a top 5 tight end. For Freiermuth, he has slam dunked in a touchdown like his name was Shaquille O'Neal in back-to-back showings. His target numbers, not the best last week, but I will acknowledge that that game was weird, right? It was delayed. There was the rain. This week in a dome in Viva Las Vegas, I expect the targets to be around 4 or 5. Again, would you hope he was like a 7 or 8 target guy weekly? Of course, but beggars can't be fucking choosers, right? With the offense leaning more towards trying to throw the ball 30 plus times a game, I think this spot for Firemouth, that's what they call your mother. Funny as fuck, right? But Pat Freiermuth should be in for a safe bet here to finish inside the top 12, and I will have him ranked inside of the top 10. Next up, we move to the Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. Fergie has been Fergalicious over the last 3 weeks as a top 8 tight end. My confidence level in him all summer long, where I was just fucking gargling on his metaphorical nuts, giving it a good old Hawk special. Ferguson has been paying off in a huge way. 3 straight games with 7 or more targets, and this week up against Detroit, things could be a very high-scoring game, and Ferguson could easily pop his cherry, scoring his first touchdown of the season. I love Ferguson as a clear top 5 option. Sammy Laporta has definitely been a disappointment based on where you drafted him. Now, it hasn't been so bad like Mark Andrews, where you're considering tying some fucking weights to your leg and jumping in the Atlantic Ocean. But when it comes to Sam Laporta, it hasn't been the best. Tight end 13 last game out prior to the bye. Going 4 for 4 like he was at Wendy's for 53 yards against Seattle. The Lions offense should be good, and this, again, should be a high-scoring matchup. So you want Laporta in your lineup. He's definitely a top 8, top 10 type of guy. But again, I'm just not as excited about him as I was last season when I told you all to draft him in the late rounds. So a lot of you guys won your championship because you drafted Laporta last year. Next up, we got the Hotlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. Jatavion Colonel Sanders will be the lead tight end due to the fact that Tommy Make That Ass Tremble has a concussion. Sanders did see his highest amount of targets last week in Chicago, but all that led to was 4 fantasy points. So I don't think Tremble's going to play, but even if Tavion Sanders is just him, me, myself, and I with no Tremble, there's really no reason to play him. Kyle Pitts had his best game of the season by far against Tampa on Thursday Night Football last week with 7 receptions on 8 targets for 88 yards. This is a layup spot for Kyle Pitts, right? It's a easy matchup. The Panthers defense is soft as baby shit, right? So it's great. But I don't want to sit here and fondle the dude's nuts like I'm giving him a hernia exam and I got to tell him to cough, right? I love Kyle Pitts, but we've seen situations like this happen before, right? One game doesn't mean that Kyle Pitts is now back, right? We saw Kirk Cousins throw for a gazillion yards and a gazillion touchdowns. So while I do like Pitts as a top 10 option, that could easily be a one-hit wonder game. If you guys have enjoyed thus far, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below like it owes you some money, and leave a like on today's video. So we got, cause you waited all day for Sunday night, but you didn't wait all day for these tight ends, Mike Gesicki and the Cincinnati Bengals at Theo Johnson and the New York Football Giants. Now, Gesicki missed practice on Wednesday with a hamstring injury, and even if he's good to go in this game, the emergence of Eric All Jr. in this offense has put a huge damper onto Mike Gesicki's floor. Now, the upside is obviously there because the Bengals are another one of those teams that could kick things into overdrive and score 30-plus points, but now, with T. Higgins getting so much volume, I just can't justify starting Gesicki or All. Theo Johnson saw a season-high 5 targets last week and reeled in 5 receptions for 48 yards as the tight end 17. Problem is, that was without Neighbors. Neighbors comes back. There's no way he's getting 5 targets. And even if Neighbors doesn't return, I still just don't think he's going to get 5 targets again, so I would definitely sit him. Final game here, Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jumbo Jets. This game, a couple of weeks ago, we'd be oogling and ogling about. Now, I mean, the game's still interesting, right? But the AFC East is a complete and utter dumpster fire. We'll see what happens in this game. Dalton Kincaid for the Bills is going to be a start in a game where Josh Allen last week couldn't hit a baseball off of a tee. Kincaid was on the struggle bus. Despite having 6 targets, he was held to just 2 catches for 34 yards in Houston, having his worst finish dating back to week number 1. While the matchup here is definitely not the most ideal, Kincaid is one of the few tight ends that I actually trust, so I'm going to rank him inside the top 8. Tyler Conklin, despite the woes of this organization and despite the woes of Ron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check, Tyler Conklin has seen a huge bump in targets over the last 3 games, with over 6 in all 3 and over 8 in the last 2. With how spotty the tight end position is, like we just discussed, Conklin is a fringe top 12 option. So let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think. Do you disagree with everything that I said? Of what I said? Is there anything that, maybe you agreed with most of it, but you disagreed with this statement? Let me know down below in the comment section. I love talking to you guys down below in the comments. Make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button like your name was Francis Ngannou, and leave a like. Lightly caress the like button. I hope everyone in Florida that is being affected by this hurricane, I believe the name is Hurricane Milton, I hope you guys are all okay. It is terrible when a natural disaster happens, so I hope everyone is okay. I love all of you guys so much. From deep down the bottom of my heart, we talked about it all week. We hit 37,000 subscribers, and it is truly an amazing thing. Without all of you guys, none of this shit is possible. It's truly crazy. I don't want to get emotional on here and start tearing up, but without all you guys, none of this is possible. So I genuinely do appreciate you all, whether you started rocking with me when I started making videos when I was like a 19-year-old in college, or if you started watching today when I'm a 25-year-old fucking man who's about to get married in a couple of months. And again, I guess I say man, even though I look like a 12-year-old, right? I do appreciate all of you guys, and I do love you guys all so much. So I hope you guys do have a great one. Let's go Mets. No Dolphins game this week, so things are sitting peachy here unless the Mets just lose a bunch of games, and then we're going to have to start getting real confused, but or not confused, right? We're just going to have to start feeling real sad, so I do love you guys, genuinely. Make sure you guys do check out Underdog. If you are new to Underdog, you can get that free pick, Brock Purdy higher than half a total yard, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Check out one of the videos there on the screen if you haven't seen them already. I love you guys more than you'll ever know. Have a great one, Wayne Gretzky style, as always. Good boy!